Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, the Hut, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut. And I need you to subscribe and like this video. This channel is getting awfully close to 4,000 subscribers. I need you to subscribe. If you haven't yet, you need to subscribe. But before we get into all this stuff, I want to thank people for watching. I know I've been doing a lot of videos on the other side, and so just be patient. We'll have a lot of stuff here coming up very quickly. But here we go on this nonsense. And this is my reaction to the proposed Pete Alonso trade to the Brewers. Let me tell you something. I did a video before, and I didn't like it because it got me so mad talking about it. I was stuttering. I didn't ever stutter. But it got me so mad I have to start it over here. So this report came out on Tuesday from the Munchkin Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic, saying that Pete Alonso was at the center of trade talks between the Mets and the Brewers. Let me point something out about the Brewers. They don't want to spend money. They traded Josh Hader because they didn't want to spend money. So why are they pushing to get Pete Alonso for a year and a half when they're just going to let him walk? Doesn't make any sense. From the Brewers' standpoint, this trade makes zero sense. And the names being bandied about. Let me read you some of the names. Some of the names that aren't going to be in this proposed trade. They made it. The article made it very clear. Outfielder Jackson Chourio, he was not going to be in this trade, and he's the third best prospect according to Baseball America. And he was not going to be moved, and he's in Double A now. Double A right now. He's 19 years old. So he was a guy that wasn't going to be in the deal. So if you're not getting the best prospect from the Brewers, then why are you trading Pete Alonso? Now, a couple of names that were mentioned was Sal Frelick and Jacob, hopefully I say his name right, Mazorski, and a couple other guys. I don't know where the Brewers farm system is in terms of rankings. The rankings don't mean anything. It's a bunch of, I do the videos on the Prospect Hut. You need to subscribe to the Prospect Hut, by the way. But the rankings don't mean anything. So I don't know where they're ranked in terms of just where they are as a franchise, but I know Jackson Chourio is a big prospect. So you're giving up a guy that has the potential to hit 500 home runs, and you get the third and fourth, fifth best prospects in their system in return. And why would the Brewers make this deal knowing that they're not going to sign into a long-term deal? Pete is going to want at least $250 to $300 million. He's not missed any time. He's very durable. He's tough. He's played really well in New York City. I would mention this, that Sal Licata is an asshole because he called Pete a cancer in the clubhouse when there's been no talk of that in the 5-6 years that he's been with the Mets. And as I do this video today, Pete was named a humanitarian, is getting a grant from Major League Baseball to put money into his different charities. So for a guy that's quote-unquote a cancer in the clubhouse, he's not a cancer in life. Far from it. He and his wife have done a lot of good work. And Sal Licata should basically say he should apologize to what he said. Because that was mentioned in a lot of places, and I did a video on the Baseball Hut too. And a lot of people have come out in defense of Pete, including David Cohn. And it was important to remember because David is good friends and is very close with Ron Darling and Keith Hernandez. So if anybody would know that he was a bad guy, Coney would know. So Pete, has been able to perform well here. He's got all these home run records already with the Mets. He's going to hit over 40 home runs this year. It'll be the third time he's done that in his short career. He's going to drive in 100 runs again. I wouldn't be surprised if he leads the league in home runs again. He's only 4 behind Matt Olson. So he's got a real shot at doing it again. So it'll be like the third time he's done that. But the whole thing is just, when I first saw this last night, my mouth dropped because this is crazy. The Brewers aren't going to sign him. The Brewers were willing to trade Josh Hader last year because they didn't want to sign him. So now they want to sign Pete Alonso. And then the consolation prize, which is reality that we're living in, folks. is that they took Mark Hanna and bad Mark Hanna cleanup in their lineup. So they said the source from the Munchkin is that the Brewers said they were very close. They were in field goal range. The Mets source says they weren't even close. They were just shopping Pete. They wanted to find out what his value was. So somebody's not telling you the truth. I'm more apt to believe the Mets side because they're not signing Pete to any long-term deal. So what kind of real value are you going to get for Pete in terms of if you're going to, if you're going to trade Pete, you trade him to a team that's got a big market. The Cubs would be one of those teams. The Giants would be one of those teams. Although the Giants farm system isn't that great. The Cubs system actually is pretty good. Okay. But you move him to a team that's willing to sign him long term. That's what the thought is, my thought. My thought is not to send him to a place that he's not going to sign because the team's not going to sign him. As stupid as this. So this is why I don't believe this article about any of this nonsense. And if the Mets decide they want to keep Pete, they're going to keep him. I don't know what, I think they kind of they wanted to see what his value was. Just get an idea. He's not under contract. So that was kind of, in my view, that kind of throws all this cold water on this trade talk when it came to Pete. Now, what's going to happen with Pete? In all likelihood, the Mets will talk to him in the offseason and say, we want to talk to you. Looking at Pete's numbers, before we get into that, Pete's numbers got 39 home runs, 95 RBIs, he missed 10 games. The slugging percentage is .531. He's got to get the average up, obviously. Pete's not a 220 hitter. I mean, Keith has mentioned a few times that he always compares Pete to Harmon Killebrew in terms of his swing, his follow-through. He looks just like him. And when he's in the box and he takes that vicious cut that he takes. So why would you want to trade this? I mean, like I said, Pete's going to hit 500 home runs if he stays healthy. He's 28, 29 years old. You're going to get at least 4 or 5 more years that are very productive out of him. There's at least another 250 home runs in that bat of his. So you're talking about over 400 home runs, and you get the 500 home runs if there's no issues in terms of steroids or in terms of character, and there's no character issues here. He's going to get in the Hall of Fame. So why are you willing to move him? And they give you a comparison to a couple of guys. One is a two of them are future Hall of Fame. Two of them are future Hall of Famers. One is Miguel Cabrera, who was traded from the Marlins to the Tigers. The Tigers sent a boatload of prospects. Those guys pretty much were not anything of note other than Andrew Miller, and he wasn't a starter in the majors that made him into a big player. It was when he was in the bullpen. I know I'm forgetting some other players, but you understand they didn't get much in return. Paul Goldschmidt, just recently the Diamondbacks released and put in DFA'd the final piece to that trade that they made with the Cardinals, and those guys didn't turn out to be anything either. You trade Pete, you're not going to get the value that you want. It's as simple as that. I mean, in my view. So why are you moving him and taking back pieces that aren't going to be as good as he is? The value is never as good as what you think it's going to be. Mets aren't going to get a superstar for Pete Alonso. And the fact that Jackson Chourio, who's the big prospect with the Brewers, they're not getting him, then what's the point of talking about it? If you're not going to get a big prospect for Pete, you move on. A can't-miss guy. And until they get to the big leagues, you never know if a guy's going to be a can't-miss. I talk a lot about all these trades they made for Verlander and Scherzer and be very positive about it. But those guys are not elite players. Maybe Acuna, maybe. Gilbert's looked upon as an everyday player, but they don't look at, scouts don't look at him as a star. So you have guys here that aren't like elite players or stars for guys and the Mets took money. And I would mention about the Mark Hanna deal with the Brewers. The Mets sent the money. So why are they wanting to make this deal knowing they're not going to sign Pete, and the Mets are probably going to have to chip in money, and you're not going to get a big prospect? Doesn't make any sense to me. So that's why a lot of this is a bunch of monkey crap. Well, that's my take on it. That's my reaction. What's your reaction? Put your reaction in the comment section. So let me know what you think about this video, of course, and please subscribe to the Baseball Hut. Thank you, and I'll see you later.